Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hankton Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me as usual, Stacey.
Well, today we're going to be talking about parenting plans, which is something that I know you really like to have in place when people are going through separation and divorce. But this time, we're going to be talking about parents with high conflict. So, first of all, let's talk about when there is a high conflict, how things can get started and how do you work out how you're going to parent your kids?
Well, whether there's high conflict or low conflict, all separated parents somehow will have to figure out a way to parent their children. The ultimate question really is how close or how distant that parenting will be or that parenting communication will be. Usually, what I recommend is that the level of detail that you put in your parenting plan will be along a continuum. So, as the conflict is escalated, I recommend more detail in the parenting plan. So I call it a parallel parenting plan when there's a lot of conflict. So if our viewers will think of it like a two parallel lines where one parent parents over here with their own set of rules and children management, and then the other parent parents over here and does their own thing. And there's really not much crossover between the parents as far as communication, problem solving, or generally interacting. So in those kind of parenting plans, generally parents will act autonomously from one another. And, this is unfortunately the way that sometimes parents need to co-parent when there's a lot of conflict.
So, why the parallel plan, Stephanie, as opposed to just the regular co parenting plan?
So they're all called a parenting plan, but the question is the level of conflict. So the my goal with the families that I work with is to help them to de-escalate conflict. And so I would rather, for the children's benefit, I would rather create a parenting plan that is me over here, you over there, and there's not much interaction, meaning hopefully not much conflict. I would rather that than create something where there's a lot of overlap and then there's more conflict, because we know from, of course, our viewers know from previous episodes, I'm a fanatic on making sure that we can somehow try to reduce parental conflict, because we know that that's such a negative indicator for children as they develop.
So, what do parents need to consider if they're going to go with this parallel parenting plan?
Well, first, think about communication. So, this is often one of the most difficult things for parallel parents to do effectively. So, it's important to make a very detailed plan for how communication will go. So, I often recommend the first thing that goes is the text messaging. So, and verbal communication, generally speaking, the slower that we can create the communication, usually the better it goes. So, something like email, or even better yet, a co-parenting app are my two recommendations for communication in a parallel parenting plan. My next recommendation is to create as detailed of a parenting plan as possible. So I talked about that a moment ago. The higher the conflict is, the more important it is to have that roadmap for parental expectations right from the start. And last, try to avoid opportunities for conflict in front of the children as much as possible. So maybe in that parallel parenting plan, maybe you figure out a neutral place to exchange the children, or have it where the parents are not within earshot of the kids, or maybe you create a schedule as to who will attend what activities during the day. So whatever you can do to try to keep to your own parallel line, the better.
All right, Stephanie. Well, good information as always. Thank you so much for chatting, and we'll be back again next week.
Thanks, Stacey.